right, guys. I'm driving again, and kind of daydreaming about cars. So I wanted to make a video series on pet peeves that I have in the car community, as far as like when it comes to the quote unquote enthusiasts. And this series is going to start off with the one that just really gets on my nerves is when people say when you put more horsepower you need bigger brakes. And I don't think a lot of people really give much thought into that. A lot of people don't understand that, you know, a car's braking system, usually it's adequate for most applications. I mean, most cars, even so, like here's a perfect example of a car that I'm thinking about. I have a 1989 240SX. It's got more horsepower now, so I put an SR20 swap in it. Did basic bolt-ons to get to close to 300 wheel horsepower, and I've had several people tell me, "Oh, you know, you gotta upgrade the brakes on it, of course now." And I'm like kind of laughing. I'm like, you know, I really don't. And they're kind of like thinking that I'm crazy, and they say, "Oh, but you have more horsepower." And I'm trying to explain to them that yes, just because you have more horsepower doesn't mean that you need more braking power from a big brake kit, as from the aspect of a big brake kit. Now, I would definitely say it's not a bad idea to have good brakes, better brake pads. But does the 240SX need bigger brake kit if you add more horsepower? No. The car, even in stock K824E form, 140 horsepower. It was capable of going 130, 140 miles an hour anyway. It doesn't matter whether you can get to those speeds quicker or not. The car was capable of getting there. Now, a lot of people will probably say, "Oh, well, you're going to be able to get there quicker, so you need to be able to stop quicker." No, you don't. I mean, yeah, you want to be able to stop the quickest, no matter how much horsepower you have, and that's indirectly related to whether you have more horsepower or not. So I mean, is it nice to upgrade the braking system? Yes. Have I done it? Yeah. I've had cars that have needed the calipers rebuilt, and I only do it when the calipers need to be rebuilt. So if I'm getting calipers that need to be rebuilt, sure, I'll go ahead and upgrade them if it doesn't cost me that much more money. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to, you know, specifically go out and buy a bigger brake kit, particularly like, you know, these Brembo and Project Mu, you know, whatever the other ones are. I will admit, I don't even really look at them because I don't really care for them. The main thing, if you want to slow down better, no matter how much horsepower you have, the key thing that you want is to maximize your braking power. Is first thing you want is good brake pads. You want good brake pads, and a lot of people when they talk about good brake pads, they think that you need like a track pad. No, you don't need a track pad for a car that's not going to see the track. In fact, track pads are even worse when it comes to you know, better stopping power, because most of the material used on those track pads it's designed to work better when the track pad material is hot. So if you're driving around town and you get into a situation where maybe you just do a pull of up to 130 miles an hour and you want to slow down immediately, the track pad actually isn't going to work as well as maybe a nicer street brake pad. So that's one misconception. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people who are talking about higher horsepower, they're not even talking about cars that are going to be used on the track. They just equate and regurgitate, well, if you have more horsepower, you need to have bigger brakes. It's just it's just the way it is. That's the way it is. No, it's not. So another thing is, so I'll say, not to get too far off. So the second thing that you'll want is good tires. And by good tires, I mean if it's during warmer weather, you would want a nicer, softer type tire that grips better. And now remember, just because you have a nice track tire doesn't mean that you're going to get maximum stopping power out of it if the temperatures are low. So your track tire or aggressive, extreme summer tire, it's not going to work as well when the temperatures get more closer to freezing or below freezing. So that's the second thing that you need to consider. So if you're looking for good stopping power on your sports car during the winter time, you're actually going to have to look more towards more of an all-season type tire versus a summer, sportier tire. So that's number 2. And then number 3 would be your suspension components. Your things like your shocks, bushings for your suspension arms and things. That's the third thing that you'll definitely want to have in tip-top performance. I'm not talking about getting like polyurethane bushings and all that stuff. No, as long as the bushings are the rubber, the stock rubber is in good shape. The main thing that you want is you want those tires being pushed down to the ground consistently, and for the best traction. And obviously you want the alignment to be set up so that the full tire patch is all making contact with the surface. So yeah, so these are 3 simple things that if you are sincerely interested in better braking power, those are the things that you'll want. You don't need bigger brake kit and things like that. It's nonsense. And then even the next thing is that people think that you buy, let's just say, a Porsche or a Corvette, and they come with cross-drilled and slotted rotors. That automatically means that the car is going to brake better. It actually is not. It actually, in many cases, for what people use their cars for, it's actually worse braking power, because you might use those brakes when they're cold, and now you have less surface area on your rotor for the brake pad to make contact with. So in many regards, it's actually a worse situation. Now, even at the track, I track my cars. I mean, you guys see my other videos. I track my cars. I will go with a blank rotor all day long over slotted and drilled and all that other nonsense. And I'm even talking when I use hardcore track pads like Hawk DTC 60s. I prefer a vented blank rotor over anything else. So like all this idea, a lot of this stuff like the drilled and slotted rotors and bigger brake kits, it's all marketing. It's all nonsense that they've pushed this idea that magically, your car is more of a race car and it's going to perform better in every aspect over a regular car, and it's not true. And I think people just regurgitate this stuff over and over and over again. And as I said, that stuff kind of bothers me. I know when I'm talking to a true enthusiast versus one that's not, because they more like to brag about what they've upgraded on the car over whether it's actually functioning better. And honestly, most quote unquote car enthusiasts are that way. That's one thing I really love about going to the track. You meet people who are very cerebral. They every modification they do, or I should say most modifications that they do has a very specific intention. They're not looking to upgrade things any more than they have to. And that's why I really like that. But yeah, you can kind of really find out, who really prefers to just brag about what they have on their car versus what actually works. But as I said, if I have a 240 SX, it's pretty old now. It's 36 years old, and I need new calipers on it. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take an opportunity to throw on some Z32 300ZX calipers on it. But if I don't need them and particularly if the upgrade to the 300ZX calipers is significantly more expensive, or expensive enough that it just doesn't make sense, I won't do it. All I'll do is I'll get a good aggressive street trackpad, like a Hawk HP Plus. I ran those several times. Those are good pads that I found that work great on regular driving, kind of daily driving, commuting, and it has very good braking power. So that's my first pet peeve. I'll think of some other topics to talk about, but I'm going to create a series because there's several things that kind of annoy me when it comes to the car community, and the spread of information, and particularly the spread of misinformation. All right, you guys, if you have any topic ideas, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure you guys have some pet peeves too. But yeah, I'm making my list right now as I'm driving. All right, I hope this was entertaining in some regard, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.